So, Cantonese are famed for being particular about their kanji. Something like this is too thin. Something like this is too thick. A kanji should be flavorful, but you also shouldn't go nuts and try to use a strong stock like you sometimes see it in the West. No, you're certainly free to object to such objections, because, there are plenty of ways people globally crack the kanji nut. But what is undeniable is that the Pearl River Delta whips up a fantastic kanji. As early as 1910, writer and Hangzhou native Xu Ke extolled the stuff in his BG Qingbailei Chao, and personally, I've converted more than a few kanji-skeptical China expats, with various dim sum or nongzhuang fare around Shunde, one of the epicenters of Cantonese cuisine. Now, of course, if you know anything about Cantonese food, you might assume that a kanji like this must obviously use some sort of crazy time-intensive technique. But it actually doesn't. This sort of Shunde-style kanji, Shenggunzhou, is actually quicker than a lot of kanjis out there. It's also pretty easy, infinitely adjustable, and the mise actually fits really well inside of a home kitchen. Because the key to it is this: broken rice. No, the stuff is basically what it says on the tin. Rice grains that were somehow damaged in storage or transport, traditionally making for a lower grade of rice consumed by the working class. Over time, though, people found that it actually made for a really excellent kanji, and in Guangdong today is sold as a specific product meant for pretty much exactly this use case. That said, I definitely do understand. I can already hear the cries of, "Chris, Steph, I don't live in Shunde. I can't exactly purchase broken rice at a Sam's Club." Luckily for us, though, broken rice isn't exactly a high technology ingredient. To produce some, wherever you are, all you need to do is take some rice and break some rice. But before we get there, let's first just take 80 grams of jasmine rice and give it a good rinse under running water. Then just toss that in a bowl and marinate it at first with a quarter teaspoon each of salt and peanut oil. Then let that sit for about 20 minutes. And then after that time, you should be looking at something a good bit softer, something much easier to break. So just spread that across a chopping board. And here we'll gently crush this with a heavy pestle. But you could equally use a good rolling pin, a heavy beer bottle, whatever. Some will be a little more broken, some a little less. That's fine, just do your best. And then now this is ready to make some kanji. That said, the super convenient bit about this approach is that marinated broken rice is freezable. If you wanted a kanji fast, all you need to do is grab it straight from the freezer and start your kanji with that. No need to thaw, and it actually breaks down faster. So you can marinate a big batch, portion it out into individual baggies, and if you start from there, you can get some kanji in 30 minutes flat. Either way, high-level overview of what'll be going on here. There's going to be two broad strokes to a Shunde-style kanji. There will be the kanji base, called the jokdai, and the finishing, which is when you'll add in your add-ins. At a restaurant, what they'll do is keep the jokdai on the side, and then when you order, they'll top it with whatever specific style that you specified. So, for the base, the rice-to-water ratio is 1 part rice to 16 parts water. So here we dutifully have our 1.28 liters of water, feel free to be a normal person with 1.3, together with a ½ centimeter slice of crushed ginger, quarter teaspoon of crushed white pepper, and 5 pieces of dried scallop for a little base umami. You could also use dried shrimp or just skip it. Then once that's all at a rapid boil, begin to sprinkle your broken rice in. Then once it's all in and everything's back up to a rapid boil, swap the flame down to medium and keep everything at a heavy simmer. Word of warning, that kanji is a bit infamous for overflowing. So to prevent kitchen disaster, crack the lid with a chopstick in this manner to ensure that there's a good sizable gap. Then 30 minutes later, you should be looking at a kanji base that's thick and creamy. So at this point, just shut off the heat, and then this is ready for some add-ins. Now, again, the whole essence here is that you can really add in whatever. In Shunde, it can even take up a whole menu. Today, we wanted to show you two classics: fish fillets, which are pretty easy, pork meatballs, which are a touch more intense. But to really highlight the versatility, we also got a bit creative and whipped up an admittedly unhinged carbonara-inspired congee that, at the very least, is a decent chance to show you the Wodan egg technique. So, fish up first. Here we've got 200 grams of fillet. Freshwater is a classic in Shunde, but do use what you have. Sliced at an angle into half-centimeter pieces. Then just mix in a quarter teaspoon each salt, MSG, and white pepper, together with 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. Gently mix, then coat it all with about 1 tablespoon of peanut oil and set it aside. Then just grab your base and bring the thing up to a rapid boil. Season it with a final seasoning, which is up here on the screen. Then slide those fish pieces in and shut off the heat. Give it a gentle mix to let the residual heat cook the fish, and then just finish it all off with a bit of chopped scallion and cilantro. Then, for the meatball one, I guess this still isn't all that intense in the grand scheme of things. Here we've got 180 grams worth of ground collar. You could use shoulder, and we'll continue to give that a hand mince for a couple of minutes in order to give it a springier end texture. Once it's become obviously sticky, transfer it over to a bowl, toss in the seasoning up here on the screen, and thoroughly mix it for about 2 minutes in one direction only. You'll know it's ready once it can leave little streaks on the side of the bowl. Then, optionally, fold in 3 reconstituted and minced wood ear mushrooms for a bit of color and crunch. And then finish it all off with about a half tablespoon of peanut oil. Give that a couple dot against the side of the bowl for good measure. And then this is ready to hit some congee. So, again, just heat up your congee, season it just like before, and then swap the flame to low. Then take your pork mixture and use a spoon to shape it into a rough ball shape, gently placing them in one by one. Then, once in, swap the flame back to high and boil it for 1 minute to cook the pork. Then top that all with a bit of cilantro and scallion. Then, final monstrosity, our carbonara congee. Nothing complicated. Just 25 grams of thinly sliced pancetta, 30 grams of pecorino romano, both of which were added to the same bubbling congee base. Then, for that Wodan, all you need to do is quickly crack an egg into the congee and then immediately shut off the heat. The residual heat will do the job. You're not trying to poach the thing. Then pour that into a bowl. The egg will slide up to the top, and then finish all off with a bit of chopped scallion.
So in Cantonese cooking, besides this kind of savory congee, there's also sweet congee, but they're always made specifically, like rice with red bean or rice with mung bean or even rice with winter melon. Unlike this kind of savory base where you have this umami congee and then you add in whatever you like. So right, check out the recipe in the description box. A big thank you for everyone that's supporting us on Patreon, and of course, subscribe for more Chinese cooking videos.